A Kryptonian, a dog, and an angry, heartbroken child head out into space on a journey that will shake them to their very core. That is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And this is the Comic Book Kaiju Podcast, a comic book discussion podcast. I am one third of your Comic Book Kaiju team, Trent, Justin, Vactor, a little under the weather, but I'm very excited. I'm here with another third, Mr. Chris Eaton, Mouth of the South. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, sir.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, you're under the weather. Other than that, how are you?
Besides that, I'm doing very well because I'm talking to my two favorite wrestling fans, Mr. Chris Eaton, and the other, all the way from Planet Mempho, baby, Marcus Seaberry is on the line. Seaberry, how you doing?
I'm good, man. What it do, man?
Yeah.
And
Like
might
I
I
said,
add, Mercy Daddy.
Chris Eaton is hustle, Marcus Seabury's flow. So we got, and I'm in hustle in flow. All right. But we are here today to talk our November book of the month, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. This month was my pick. We're actually coming to you a little bit late. It's December 1st as we record this. I'm going to try to put this out tonight as well. But this is our November book of the month. So, boys, I wanted to talk about this book because, number one, I am now a Tom King stan. After I went through all of his Batman run, and then I read the Vision. Actually, you know what? It was the Vision book that really got me into Tom King. But I went through his Mr. Miracle, all of his Batman run, and then when I saw that he came out with a Supergirl book, I said, "All right, I have to read this," and it did not disappoint. That's why I wanted to talk about it on our book of the month, and I wanted to get each one of your individual experiences with this book first before we talk about the actual content of the book. So let's go around the room. Let's start off with Mr. Marcus Seaberry. How did you first hear about this book? And then we'll
All
talk about
right.
what did you think about this book?
Full disclosure, I still pick up the little DC Comics coming attraction thingy
Oh, yes.
that's in color they
Mm-hmm.
have at my local comic shop. I also pick up the Marvel one, and I get comic shop news every week. I mean, I normally trash the comic. I trash all of them once I'm done reading them.
Yeah.
But like, I just do that kind of keep it fresh in my mind. And I'm trying to see. The only Supergirl comic that I actually own is an adaptation of her movie.
Mm.
Like, I always liked the way they drew her in the 80s. I'm a keep a book
Yeah.
on like all that merch. Shout out to Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
With the headband?
I mean, well, the headband was more comic.
Ah,
Like, like, like for the merch, she would just kind of just had like the long flowing
yes.
blonde tresses,
Yes.
looking like a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I had to think about blondes back then, but
Hey, no
like,
shame.
thank you, I appreciate it. But like, I don't know. I was like, she cool, but
Mhm.
I figured, what am I gonna get from a book about her that I can't give it to me? Oh no, no, I'm like, think about one issue of Peter David's run,
Oh, okay.
but that was like about it. So I was just like, yeah. But then you were like Supergirl, and I was like, well, it's your turn. And, I'm
Yeah.
trying to broaden my horizons. So I was like, I'll just give it a go, and like, oh
Oh,
my gosh.
also, not to cut you off, Seabury, but well wishes out to Peter David and his family. Hopefully he recovers. He's in the hospital currently. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
definitely
hopefully,
sending him
Yeah.
up for Peter David. Hope he recovers.
yes.
For real, man. It's crazy, man. Like yo, man, I just lost Kevin Conroy,
hmm
man. Don't do
This
that.
this whole year has been pretty bad for comic creators in general, as far as people that are passing. So hopefully Peter David will not be amongst the names of 2022 has claimed.
I
Lost
know.
Batman and the Green Ranger in the same month.
Oh yeah, dang.
Yeah, yeah. Don't go to the Rainbow Bridge, Peter. Valhalla is actually, no, Valhalla is not overrated. It seems kind of awesome, but still, don't go, Peter.
Yes.
But Yeah, man. Like I said, I kind of came in blank slate, no expectations. Just like, oh well, yeah, I'm gonna need some more Tom King in my life.
Yes. And actually, after this, I would also recommend the Superman book that he did, which was a Walmart exclusive. Um, I have heard fantastic things. We actually had a guest on a previous episode that said it's his favorite Superman book of all time. And that is including All Star Superman. So definitely we want to give
Oh,
Tom
wow.
King his flowers uh, while he's still here. Mr. Chris Eaton,
Yeah.
how did you come across this book, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow?
You, man. I honestly, and this is no shade to the character or the writer, I wouldn't have known about this.
Mm,
This wouldn't have been on my radar,
okay.
honestly. I don't know, like, obviously I know the character of Supergirl. I know the lore. I'm aware. I've never read a Supergirl story
Ah, yes. Oh, so you
until
didn't read
this
that
one.
that Superman Batman run by Jeff Loeb when he brought her back. This is pre New 52.
hmm
Um
Oh, I read that.
I really like that story.
I didn't read that. I'll have to check
Okay.
that out. But so
Yes.
obviously I was aware of the premise of the character
Hmm.
and the history of the character,
Yes.
but I hadn't read any of the actual stories. And man, you not to bury the lead, but you let the right one in. You
Yeah.
Yeah.
man, I can't say enough. First of all, between his Batman stuff, which I have read some of, and this, man,
Yes.
Tom King's up there for me now,
Man, I
for sure.
yeah, we're gonna talk about Supergirl, but I gotta also praise everything Tom King does. You, in particular, Mr. Eaton, knowing your sensibilities, you will love his both his vision and Mr. Miracle books. Both of those
Okay,
are fantastic, and they
I'll for
get
sure
into
check
that
those out.
Grant Morrison territory of
Okay,
working on multiple levels,
right.
just being an intellectual comic. Seaberry, have you read either of those?
I think I bought like the first issue of
Okay.
that Vision comic to review, and I think I might have bought when I don't think I bought any of his Mr. Miracle. Now I
Okay.
kept hearing about it, and I
Yes.
was like, I'll get it in trade one day, and
Yeah.
I didn't.
100% I recommend. And also real quick before we get to Supergirl, I promise you audience we will talk about Supergirl. The Superman book I just looked it up is Up in the Sky. That's the name of the Walmart
Okay,
exclusive book that he did. It was Tom King and Andy Kubert, and it was a 6
nice.
issue special edition, and that was a recommendation by Brandon Ingram, who is the Dismay Comics guy. So that was a great episode. Check that one out. Issue 30 of our podcast. But let's get
I will say
into
this before we get into
yes.
it, Vactor. So you guys have both known me for quite a while now, over
Mhm.
10 years.
Yes.
One of my favorite comic stories is Coyote Gospel from the
Yes.
Animal Man Grant Morrison run.
Yes.
One of my favorite stories is E is for Extinction from the Morrison X-Men, or pretty much all of Jason Aaron's Wolverine and the X-Men, all of
Mm,
Hickman's
yes.
Fantastic Four. This is up there for me.
Nice.
This is
Nice.
on that. This is in that conversation.
Okay, sweet. And I want to say that I'm a fan of the both the Coen brothers and the original. And I'm such a fan that I'm blanking on the name of it right now. Oh, True Grit. I'm sorry, True Grit. That is a
Yeah.
fantastic um, film, and this movie is True Grit in space, where Supergirl is Rooster Cogburn. So if anybody is
Mhm.
a fan of True Grit, you're gonna love this book. If
Wow, that
anybody,
recontextualized the whole thing for me. I would not have seen that, but you're right.
yeah, and actually,
Oh yeah, I totally get that.
yeah, Tom King said it in an interview. So he a much smarter man than I, put those pieces together, and I once I also like you, Eaton, I had it recontextualized for me. I said that is fantastic. And when I was originally reading this, I was reading it in issue to issue, and it was Game of Thrones at the beginning, especially that first issue. I was like, oh,
I
this
know
is
what you
like
mean.
Game of Thrones in space. But as it goes on, I was like, oh no, this is true grit in space. So I think it works on both of those as allegories and kind of different ways. And I gotta say, shout out to Bilquis Evely. Her art in
Yeah,
this is the
yes,
first time I've seen her art, and she knocked it out of the park.
Yes.
Fantastic from start to finish. And this is one of those. It's a book that, because it's kind of self-contained and 8 issues, we have one artist all the way through. I'm kind of getting to that point where I'm reading the Nightwing book right now, and they have to switch artists every now and then. And when it's not Bruno Redondo, I'm like, dang it, I wish they could just, for posterity's sake, just to have this as a collection. I wish Bruno was able to do it. But I understand monthly comics and I understand things like that. But going to this, it's like, oh, this is one art team. This is one vision and creation. So I'm very
right.
happy that this is not an ongoing. But I loved it from start to finish. As it was coming out in issue form, I was trying to tell people about it and say, man, this is really fantastic. There's some great stuff. And like I said, I'm a Tom King stan now. It's like whatever he puts out, I'm going to be reading it and I'm going to be most likely enjoying it. So I'm glad that both of you enjoyed the book. Let's get into some of your Coyote Gospel ish things about this. What specifically stood out to you about Woman of Tomorrow?
Well, I want to say that first of all, if any of you listeners, watchers, haven't read Coyote Gospel, which is it's a single issue in Grant Morrison's Animal Man run from the 80s, do that. This story is nothing like Coyote Gospel, but my reverence for this story equals that, which is a lot to say from my comic fandom. But so there's a few things that really struck out to me here. First of all, you said Bilquis Everly, the artist.
Yes.
Just a hypnotizing like way she draws figures like people or humanoids. Like it's so, like, I don't know, it's other obviously otherworldly because it's aliens, but like um eyes are very important in this story.
Yes.
And nobody draws eyes like this person at all. I also, this seems to be someone with a lot of different art influences, because I'm reading through, first of all, even if you don't read this, if you're just looking at the pictures, this is a fun book. I pick up a lot of influence of like Monty Python, believe it or not. A lot of I don't know if you guys know the person by name, but Yoshitaka Amano.
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah, the did Sandman the Dream Hunters, does the cover art logos for the Final Fantasy games. Fantastic artist. I get a lot of that from this person's art as well.
Nice.
And if you look at some comparisons going back and forth, you'll see what I mean. And the last one I get, and probably the biggest one, and I think there's a couple of pages that are very Jack Kirby.
Yes.
And the biggest influence, I think, and I'm probably not wrong on this, is Mobius.
Yes.
Yeah, I see it.
Definitely Mobius influence. So I love that this artist has gone into their bag and pulled out all these various, very different, you know, like I love the scene in the space bus.
Yeah.
Because it's the cantina scene. Like, remember when sci-fi was weird? You know what I mean? And that's what that was. Oh, it's so good. Just real quick, a question. When you were reading Supergirl's dialogue in this book, who did you guys hear in your head?
I don't
if
think
there
I
was
had
somebody.
Yeah, I don't think I had a specific person in
Me
mind.
neither.
For some reason, and it has nothing to do with how Supergirl was drawn or anything. Kaylee Cuoco.
Oh wow.
Not doing a Harley voice, but like just her voice.
Right.
For some reason is the voice that come through to me. I don't know why.
Huh.
but
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
could see
read it with
that.
those filters on and see what you think again. Yeah, this book is masterful storytelling.
Yes.
Perfect sci-fi.
Yes.
It's been so long since I've seen a superhero story actually be sci-fi.
Mm,
And this is a pure science fiction revenge story,
right.
which ends up being a redemption story.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing takes you on an emotional ride. There were times I got emotional reading this book, honestly.
Nice.
There were times where I was just in for the action because there's great action scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I've never wanted somebody to die more than Kerm of the Yellow Hills, like in my entire time reading comics.
Mm.
And the ending, no spoilers, is hilarious.
Yes.
Is hilarious. Um, I could talk for an hour and a half about this book. 10 out of 10 will read again.
Yeah. Excellent. I'm very happy to hear that. Also, before we get to Seaberry's thoughts, shout out to Mateus Lopez on the colors and Clayton Cowles on the letters.
Oh,
also.
doing God's work on that
Yes.
stuff for sure.
Mr. Seaberry, what do you think overall about Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow?
And it's really good. It was completely unexpected because, like, I don't really read a lot of outer space Supergirl stories. And also, like, she was kind of nerfed a little bit, being on different worlds. There's world with a red sun, world with a green sun, which I guess was kryptonite.
Right.
But I thought it was important for the story.
Right.
And it also made you appreciate the moments when she was like full power and she could just handle somebody. But also you could see, like, even, when her power was limited, she's still Supergirl, she's still brave, she's still daring. And, like, I don't know, like, I've kind of, grown up, I guess, from cartoons and stuff with kind of like the, plucky, tough, kind of goody two shoes Supergirl.
Like the Justice League.
Yeah. It was cool to see a Supergirl with like a bit of edge. I mean, like, she was using profanity, and I was like, okay. Yeah. Like, it was just a really good and unexpected story because, like I said, man, it's probably the most continuous issues of any Supergirl, anything that I've read in my life.
For sure.
Yeah, and I was just like, man, this works. And yes, I wanted Krim to die so bad. I was like, they got to get this dude, man. He's, it was like that song, "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch." Like, you really are a heel.
Yeah, it was like, I hope all the bad things in life happen to you and nobody else. Only hate.
Yeah. I think Seaberry makes a fantastic point here, and I think Eaton as well. This is my mantra for this podcast. There are no bad characters, only bad writers, and any great writer can make you like a character that either you never had any reverence for or you never expected to like. And Tom King does it right here with Supergirl. And there's a lot of Kal-El-esque qualities of hope and inspiration and wanting to, like Seabury said, you strip away the powers. Kal-El is still a good person, and she's also still a good person. So it's like that, for me, you get that core essence of the character and why that character is cool.
I'm laughing because Kal-El Superman kind of gets buried a little bit.
Oh yeah,
by Supergirl, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, there's great moments with the Super Horse. Like, that's
Comet. I was glad to see Comet in this.
Remember when sci-fi was weird? Because like, what happens with Comet? You know what I mean? And it happens off like panel, basically.
And that's the history of the super characters, the super family, is always interesting to me because you had those wacky 60s 50s, 60s era characters where it was all right, there's a super horse, there's a super cat, there's a super dog, and we see Crypto in this book as well. There's a super monkey, and those
Mhm.
weird zany elements. And I love when they are able to take those crazy sci-fi goofiness that we all grew up thinking were corny and I don't know, that's my dad's comics. But these these writers now, these creators now are able to flip it, and
And
you
treat
think
them
about
seriously.
right. Grant Morrison was fantastic for that on the Batman run and the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh and um, the Batmite stuff, like all of that stuff. Which, by the way, if you guys are not reading Chip Zdarsky's current run on Batman, he is doing a Batman Zur-En-Arrh year one, and it is fantastic. So definitely check that out. But I love it when characters are able to do that. And that was something that Morrison run for me solidified itself as like one of my all-time favorites because he was able to do that. The Black Case book where, just all the weird, crazy stuff. Yes, that's canon. That happened. And this is, this is the serious take on it, or this is the realistic take on it. So I love all that stuff. So I was glad to see, like Seaberry said, the super horse in this one.
So, what are some of you guys' favorite moments in this book? I'm curious.
Well, I loved every planet that they went to, and every issue was a new adventure. And you're like, okay, where are they going to go next? Like they have this overarching storyline, the revenge, get Carter, like that thing. But
Right.
then each planet that they go to is different, and the different people that they experience and come across. And I think my single favorite moment, Eaton, this might be one that you were mentioning, the Jack Kirby esque, where the giant is pummeling on Supergirl,
Yeah.
and he's like, "You are small, I am large. It will hurt." But he's taking out his frustration, and then he starts crying. He breaks down, and then she gives him a hug, and the emotions of the moment just come out. That was, I think, my favorite singular moment of the book.
Yeah. What about you,
Oh,
Seaberry?
man, I'm trying to see, man. Like, cause
There's
I
so
just
many
like,
good moments.
yeah,
There
and
are.
like I just read it all in one sitting, man. Like,
Same.
um,
And that's crazy to me because I was reading it issue to issue, and it was like a year of reading it, and you guys both had that compact experience. So it was kind of just different, waiting for the trade versus reading it issue to issue.
I kind of liked, I guess Miles spoiler when Krim was tied up
Oh yeah.
and what's the girl's name?
Oh shoot.
Evie?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
that's right.
Evie, and she just kind of had a moment because like I felt she had grown. I felt she had gotten tougher, and she
I
was just
I had no idea what was going to happen, and I was like, this could go either way.
yeah, and I felt like she was just handling herself so well, just in spite of everything that she had gone through, man. And I was like, okay, so she is changed. She is, you know, kind of a trial by fire, as they say. She is gone through the fire. She is kind of tougher now, a little sturdier now. Like, yeah, I just dug that because, like I said, all this blew me away. I didn't expect to be a interplanetary Supergirl story. I didn't expect, the point of view to kind of be split between her and Evie and just all these things, man. Like I said, I have never read a Supergirl story like
Mhm.
that. So just like I said, all of it was new to me and just very, very interesting. Like I'm I'm kind of sad that there wasn't more, man.
Mm.
Like I don't know. DC frustrates me so much. I just be like, what are you doing? This thing is good. Why do you? Well, although that's how it was before they even did the new 52, but that's
Oh
another
yeah.
story.
We need to
Yep.
have that discussion at some point. What is
Sure.
DC doing right now? And that's across all entertainment platforms, TV,
Yeah.
movies, comics. We will definitely have that conversation. But yeah,
For me, my favorite on this book, the reason I brought it up is some of those, just there's two moments. One's a very small moment, and one's just absolutely ridiculous and kind of hilarious. Um, Spoilers, if you haven't read this, you still need to read it because it's hard to believe that what I'm about to say actually happens in a comic. Supergirl gets high on illegal space drugs, becomes the Phoenix, and fights an electric dragon in space.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, it did happen. Cause like I just love the way they would use the stuff. Like I said, like the red sun,
Mm-hmm.
like red kryptonite. Cause I guess
Mm-hmm.
because red kryptonite is so random,
Mm,
kind of unstable. People
right.
would just take it and have these crazy visions. But of course, if a Kryptonian takes it, all the wacky random stuff happens to them. And yes, I was like, oh, she has flame wings, and
She's the Phoenix.
yeah, she did go straight Phoenix, and I was just like, I just thought it all was cool, man. Like I said, I was into it. I was on the edge of my seat. I just wanted Krim to get it, man. I was like, this dude
Yes.
is a bad person.
I just love the fact that in an age where we have these long drawn out comic stories, these involved, plots. There's this one comic that goes, all right, I'm gonna go take these space drugs and mollywop an electric dragon. Let's go. And it just happens, and it's great.
Yes.
And it was just so trippy, and it's just like, cause like again, you got to get into Bilquis Evely, man. Like
Oh, for sure.
her, like the kind of ethereal or
Hmm.
kind of mystical nature of the way she drew this,
Yeah.
man,
Right.
just like enhanced that scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna be looking for more by her.
Yeah. 100%. And the future prologue or epilogue in this was fantastic of what happened um, to everybody. And I
See,
loved
that
it.
kind of made me sad
I
though.
love the
Like,
ending.
but see, I thought that kind of negated everything we had
Oh, as far
gone
as like
through.
you're saying for Evie's growth as a character, her kind of
Yeah,
journey. Hmm.
My thing is, Marcus, have you ever seen the movie Serenity, the based on the Firefly show?
yeah,
Okay, there's a whole thing at the end where the captain Malcolm Reynolds is talking about, a good man wouldn't do this or that, and then he stabs a guy. He's like, I'm okay, and then he stabs me. And he's like, I'm all right, and it was like that to me. It
Mm.
was for those of you who don't know what we're talking about. These are spoilers. So far ahead in the future, which is the present day of when the story's being narrated, you find out Evie is quite a bit of an older person now, and uh Krim, uh let's just say they encounter each other again, and Krim seems to be very contrite about what he did. I think he's really had a change of heart, honestly. And she just hits him in the face, like, or kicks him in the face. And the last page is just him laying there. And it's not, the inference is not that he's dead. He's just like, yep, yeah, I
Right.
deserve that. Oh, it's great. I laughed so hard.
Yeah. That was my interpretation of it as well. Yeah, I love this book
Yeah.
from start to finish, and I think again, it's just another feather in Tom King's cap.
Mm-hmm.
It's he's up there for my favorite current creators that are creating right now, and he's one of those guys that all I have to do is see that his name is involved, and I will immediately read that book. So highest praise as possible on Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow from, I think I can speak for everyone on the podcast. I think this is one of our, when you have like um a comic book kaiju Hall of Fame or something, we need to have like our favorite books of all time.
It's in that.
Yeah, we need to have something like
Yeah,
that.
whatever it is, it's in there. Like, yo, Tom King and Bilquis Everly, you the real MVP.
Mhm.
That's all I gotta say.
Another-
I've been reading comics for nearly 30 years. Actually, more than 30 years. This is a top 10 story for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
And
was dope.
this book also, I forgot to mention it earlier when I was talking about both of the two Tom King books that, I'm forever tying to his name are the Mr. Miracle and the Vision books. I think those are masterpieces. And what you get from those, I know you guys haven't read those, but you'll see it in the Supergirl. Tom King likes trauma. He likes his characters to go through bad things. And you're gonna see that. Man, I'm kind of excited for both of you to read each of those books because it's like those are on that list of the annals of the best comics of all time. So I can't wait for each of you to get to those. But I'll just say there is a common uh trope that Tom King likes to go through. I don't know if he's working out some stuff, but like I said, he likes trauma. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But you can definitely see it in Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
and all of his work. So Tom King, like Eaton said, you're a real one. 100%. I would like to thank everyone out there. But actually, before I do, did you guys have any closing thoughts that you did not get out? Did you say it? Did you get everything
Well,
out that you wanted to get out?
I'm gonna just say this. It's probably unlike any Supergirl story you've read
Yes.
before.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of what makes it awesome. And it's like you just gotta strap in, man. Go on the ride. It's a journey, man.
Yes. This is a
It's a
space western.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
If you read it this year, it'll be the best thing you read this year. If you read it next year, it'll be the best thing you read next year, and so on.
Yeah. And actually, speaking of space westerns, Firefly is my favorite television show of all time. So I just wanted to put that
It's
out
one of
there.
mine for sure.
All right, my friends. Well, I'd like to thank you very much. If you wanted to check out Supergirl, if our thoughts have influenced you at all, we do have a link in our show notes to where you can purchase Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow and maybe share your thoughts with us in the comments section if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're on the audio version, you can leave us a comment. Actually, you know what's cool about our audio version? On Anchor, all of our audience can leave us voicemails and we can play them on the show. So if you ever have a comic that you want us to review, or if you had one that you had a visceral reaction to and you wanted to talk about it, leave us a voicemail on our Anchor app. It's very easy and simple to leave it just from your microphone on your phone, and we could play it. That it creates a little audio file. You can play it right on the podcast. So 100%, we'd like to thank everyone out there for listening. I think, Mr. Eaton, are you next? Are you the December pick?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've already got it if you want me to put it out there
Yeah,
now.
let's get our listeners ready. What's the next pick?
This December, we're going to be taking a little trip to the future.
Ooh.
A grim future, a dark
Marty!
future. We're going to be reading The Last Ronin.
Ooh. Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
Excellent. That
I
is
read the first issue. Yeah.
Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, and Tom Waltz. So
Yes.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin will be our pick for December. And I will start to leave the links in the show notes. You can get ready before we talk about it. So we'd like to thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Chris Eaton and Mr. Marcus Seaberry can both be found talking about their favorite wrestling matches on the Kickout Kaiju podcast, our sister podcast. What's the next match, boys, that you're going to be talking about?
The next match is going to be from Progress Wrestling.
Ooh.
It's a tag team ladder match. A great tag team called Aussie Open versus a tag team called the Swords of Essex, which features Will Ospreay, who is currently in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Fantastic match. It's going to be a great watch.
Oh, yeah. So definitely check out the Kick Out Kaiju. Mr. Seaberry can be found on. Where can you be found, Seaberry?
All right. Well, I'm gonna just tell it like this. On Twitter at Seaberry, on Instagram and TikTok at Marcus Seaberry. That's MarcusSeaberry. Just out there, and also, I've been doing these new comic alerts for comic book kaiju. They're out there on the social media, so check me out, man. And like I always say, any support is appreciated.
That's what I'm talking about. So on behalf of Mr. Chris Eaton, Marcus Seaberry, myself, Trent Justin Vactor, we love comics, and you should too.
Geeks out.